if you had to choose between the skill of pacing or increased fitness, which would it be? For me, every single time, the power of pacing wins. Through the power of pacing, not only do you gain crucial time out there on the course, but you mitigate the negative consequences of physiological activity such as fatigue. This is part 2 of a 2-part series. Now remember, in part 1, we talked about how to set up your Garmin computer. So we start with lap time. These are the fields that I use. This is generally speaking. So lap time, 3-second power, heart rate, cadence, and lap power. Now, this is if you're pacing with power. There are some people in some courses that would completely dominate by choosing to pace by speed, in that if you don't have a speed of 31 miles an hour for your average speed for this course, then you're not going to win. So those types of people who are in that world will pace by speed. And some people even do 10-second power, especially if you're a time trialist. But for our purposes, let's just do this Garmin lap screen, which works fantastic for so many people. All right, so let's say we're trying out there to hit 250 watts. So first thing we do is for a segment, we hit our lap button and then we go forward. Again, we're aiming for 250 watts. We're here at 260. It establishes a nice foundation. Then we see that we're too high, so we back our 3-second power down and our lap power starts to drop. And then we're all the way back at, at minute 20, we're back down to 250 and for 3-second power and 250 for our overall lap power. And then you hit the lap button again. All right. Now, how does this work? This is for pacing an interval. Now, how would this work for a big course, like say the half Ironman? So we have the Virginia Blue Ridge half Ironman in our region. So I went out and said, hey, I'm going to slam this and see what I can do if I can pace it. So the first thing I had to do is decide on a range that I was looking for. So I look at my data, I look at my FTP, and typically for an Ironman, the bike leg, you want to start at about 75 to 85% of your FTP. And so that's what I did. I decided, I was going to pace this thing somewhere in my 230s. Okay. So I started off and I didn't start off too strong. By the time I got right here to this point, I was feeling good. I was saying to myself, wow, this is a little too easy. And so then again, I just paced this. I didn't let off the gas right here. I didn't do this too hard. I didn't do this too easy. I did this at 230 watts. I did this at 230 watts. And then I just cruised along 230 watts, 230 watts, all this 230 watts, 230 watts, 230 watts. And then for this Ironman, there's this huge monster climb. All right. So this yellow is my power data. Look how tight that power data is right through on this climb. And I paced it to such a degree that I knew that by the time I got to this point right here, I was going to be fresh. I was going to be feeling good. My arms, my neck, everything was going to be stretched out, and that I was going to be ready for this very difficult descent, climb, descent, and then all of this, right, is problematic, okay? Pace this, nailed this at 230, nailed this, right? So you see this spike right here? That's my power. I sprinted over the top of this to gain time right here. And again, I did the same thing right here. I sprinted over the top. Now, this is harder to pace, right? So I was asked one time, Elite, what do you think about this course? And what do you think about the climb? And I said, the climb doesn't bother me. What bothers me is this descent. This is physics. You're really not going to gain time or lose too much time right here if you do it right. This, you can lose a lot of time if you don't pace this thing correctly. So I got to the top of here, I sprinted over the top, and all of this, I stayed on my pedals. On this particular day, I only got up to 41 miles an hour on this descent, but you can touch the 50s, but pretty much for most of this descent, because of winds and, turns and things of that, you're really going to be in the 30s, right? So I did not rest on this at all. I kept my power up in the 230s, and I believe I started, at this point, I was at 239 right here for my average watts, and when I got to the bottom of this, I was 237. So I really didn't lose any wattage whatsoever, and I felt fresh and great. And then I rocked it out to the end, and you can see I'm spiking all over the place because we have, I'm in traffic, there's stop signs, turns, all kinds of crazy stuff. But this whole course, right, my goal was to see if I could do it under 3 hours with this power, and boom, I rocked it out. No problems whatsoever. Here are my time and zones for this course, and this looks really good. This is my tempo. This is where I wanted to spend most of my time. So there are no red flags here. This all looks really good. And then here's my interval trend line. This really shows me that I didn't start out too hard and end too, die. I didn't start out too hard and then die 1,000 deaths to get to this point. I started out a little easy, and I just brought up my average watts. I just ticked those off. So when I got out of Carvin's Cove, I was 230 watts, 233 watts. And then as this course just went on, I slowly brought up my lap power, right, to 234, 235, 236. I just slowly brought it up, and I rocked it out. When I got done, the goal was, when I was pacing this course, the goal was, hey, how am I going to feel, right? I need to be able to run. And so when I finished that 50-mile course, boom, I felt great. I looked better. All right. So what else do we got? Yeah. Hey, so that's basically it. Here's my contact information. If you want to talk about pacing, pacing is crucial. Lee at pro13.com, Lee at pro13.com. Again, if you had to choose between fitness or the skill of pacing, I would choose the skill of pacing. It is a very difficult and time-consuming skill to learn. It could take 6 months before you're pacing, big courses like that. But what's great is that we're so far out, you don't have to make that choice between pacing or fitness. By the time 2022 rolls around, you can rock out both. Coach Lee here. Reach out to me.